Alright guys, another embargo has lifted, and you know how this is going to go with Three Kingdoms. I'm going to mumble and stumble my way through a bunch of pronunciations, and we're going to go through, rather than going through a campaign of one of these lords, we were given access to 3 warlords of the new Three Kingdoms campaign, and I'm going to go through the starting kind of situation for each one of these lords. We have Gongsun Zan, we have Yuan Shao, and we have Zheng Jiang. Zheng Jiang? I fucked it up, trust me. But you'll see it in a little bit, and we'll go through those. So we're going to start with Gongsun Zan, and we're going to talk about kind of how his play style works. And each one of these generals, these lords, these warlords, has a different play style. There's 3 kind of delineations: coalition, governor, and I think the other one's bandit. And then you can see here at the top which ones kind of fall into where. And each one of those, again, has a playstyle that is very heavily balanced in a way that focuses on what either historically they focused on, what they were known for from the Three Kingdoms Romantic era, things of that sort. So when we look at Gongsun Zan, we can take a look that he is a playstyle focus of a balanced military. He has quite a few mounted archer units in both the White Horse Raiders, which have a lot of mobility, low armor, and then White Horse Fellows, which have high melee and high mobility. Typically, anything that says Raider or Mercenary has a high upkeep, but a low initial cost. Or in the sense of a Raider, typically they don't respond to orders very well, and they will actually be very impetuous on the battlefield. In addition to that, every single general or warlord will have noteworthy characters. In this case, we've got Zhao Yun, who will be a general type of a sentinel, the light in the dark here. And he has a rich, awesome history behind him. He's probably one of my favorite characters in the Three Kingdoms lore as a whole. And you get a sense of where this character starts, what characters he kind of already has an initial coalition or has a initial good relationship with, which is funny because Yuan Shao actually cuts off Gongsun Zan's head in history, but that's neither here nor there. And you can see who he doesn't really have a great history with, and who he's not, how his relation is to Dong Zhuo, the kind of reminiscent Han Empire. So as we get started here, we'll take a look at some of the characteristics that make each one of these generals unique, where their starting locations are. As we can see, we start basically in Beijing, more or less. It's kind of a skewed starting location. But as we kind of look through these generals, you'll see what kind of differentiates them. You can see here that military government, he gets an additional building here, and the way that his actual governmental building chain kind of blows out is a little bit different from the other lords. So each one of these warlords has usually some sort of building chain or some sort of technology or reformation line that is a little bit specific to them, or bonuses included in some of those reformations as well. In addition, you can see here at the very bottom what character specialization he is. He is going to be a vanguard character specialization. Yuan Shao is a commander, for example. So each one of these is different. Even you can see Zhao Yun here is a sentinel, but he gets an increase to his reinforcement range, which is actually quite strong, and an increase to his armor for all shock cav. You can see that he is definitely going to be that character that is going to be leading from the front, as typical with all Vanguard, in the shock cav department, using a lot of cavalry units. Every single one of the character specializations, if you don't know, has an emphasis on a certain type of infantry, archer, or cavalry unit. Vanguard is the kind of premier cavalry character specialization. So we're going to start this campaign. We're going to take a look around the campaign map, look at a couple things before we switch over to our next warlord, and that is going to be the kind of footprint for this video. The rule for us is that we can't be anything longer than 50 turns or an hour, so this is a great way to cover all 3 of these generals and give you guys a really good foray into what the beginning portions of this game are going to look like when it comes to launch. And then on Saturday, which will be a day after today, of course, I'm going to be streaming for about 3 hours with one of these warlords. We'll put it to a vote on the channel and decide which one. So I'm going to go ahead and press start campaign here. We'll see you guys on the inside of the campaign. All right, and here is the opening portion of the campaign for Gongsun Zan. And you kind of get some cool detail on his opinion of things, or how things went with the kind of fracturing of the Han Empire. You can kind of like focus over these additional portions. You know, the coalition is in dire straits. Yuan Shao cannot be relied upon to protect China. I must act. You can kind of get his opinion on some of these pivotal characters, like the former capital, stuff like that. It's a pretty cool kind of way to bring you into the setting, especially if you don't know anything about Three Kingdoms of this era at all. And it's a pretty kind of good way to get your feet wet. So going forward here, we can see, you know, like Beijing is like what, like right over here in real life? I don't know the geography of China, guys. I'm from America. I'm an idiot. So taking a look here, every single character will always start out right across from another character to fight. You'll always have like, yeah, go in here. Here it is. Go and fight that character and kick their ass. So taking a look, we start off right away with Zhao Yun as one of our generals, or one of our characters with a retinue, and it'll be nice to kind of have him right off the bat. If we right click him, you can see his whole entire skill tree. Now do remember, not every one of these characters will start the same way, and on top of that, all of your ancillaries will be different. You won't start with the same ones. You can see here that we got the Artisan, the Book of the Mountain and the Sea. Some of these are very specific to characters, but the ones that you gain at the very beginning are not specific to anyone. You can see that these things are going to just be granted to you at random. Sometimes you can get a very strong one that'll grant you an additional army right out the gate. Sometimes you get pretty weak ones, so it just kind of depends on the luck of the roll for you. But taking a look here by right-clicking, we take a look at the skills for Gongsun Zan, and we can see that he is the Iron Fist General. You can see pretty much everything. We can see that he is a general. You can see his upkeep. We can see his overall satisfaction, or what his grudges are against things. This one right now is against Li Yu. His past loyalties. This is important when you're recruiting new people to your faction. You do want to see what their past loyalties were. How long were they loyal to another general for? Because that could mean that they are a spy. This is a very important kind of little blurb later in the game, but in the early game, it kind of gets dismissed quickly. You can see his age, his resilience. You can get a look at his family tree, or part of the ruling family. You can, if you're looking at another character, like if we take a look at, there we go. You can see his satisfaction, which is important here too, because the lower their satisfaction, the more likely they are to defect. And if they defect, then you lose them from your army, and they can actually divulge stuff to an enemy. So you do not want them to defect. In addition to that, you have their current title, their ability to promote them, what the effects are of those promotions, and what these titles to going to grant. And it shows you here, okay, he's a senior intendant, which is the second lowest rank for his position. And every single character has a set, I guess you could say, I don't know what to call it. It's not a class per se, but senior intendant will be, I think it's the same for every single sentinel, and every single vanguard has a specific one as well. Like I believe, oh man, no, I think it's sentinel. Is this what I'm thinking of? Yeah, chief inspector. Yeah, okay, so financial advisor. So every single sentinel will have this same progression. Just depends on what title you want to give them. Now, taking a look at your stat line here, you can see that they're all out of 200, and each one of these will give you an army and a campaign benefit, construction costs, and melee evasion. So obviously your melee evasion is going to be your army, construction costs is definitely your campaign benefit. And so you can see here how specific things, sentinels, obviously they focus in expertise, this color associated of course with the color that they focus the most in. When we take a look at Gongsun Zan, you can see that it's majority in instinct. That's very true of almost any vanguard. And you'll see lines here, thin lines, and then a thick line. If it's a thick line, that is the percentage, or I guess the number over 100 that it is. So taking a look at this, you can see that this authority is at 87, so that's almost full, getting to your first 100. And as it resets back to 100 to 200, you can see that it gets thicker. So at 131 out of 200, 31% of this bar is filled up. So that kind of breaks that down for you really quick. Going through the skills real fast, and again, this is just, we're not going to do this with every lord. We're just going to focus here on the first one, so you can see these panels, get a good idea of what's going on with them, and then we'll go through the other two generals on a much quicker pace, just to kind of get a high-level overview of them. The skills tree, I guess you could say, is very dependent upon your class, as always. But you're always going to have abilities that are going to branch out into other portions of stat lines. You can see here that instinct is going to be the biggest bonus right here with your upper right portion. Usually the corners are the ones that are heavily into what your character focuses on, with the internals usually being things that will digress to other portions of other stat lines. So expertise and instinct, resolve, or instinct and expertise, and resolve and instinct. You can see that expertise here, or cunning here, but resolve there. It just kind of depends on where you are in this line. And each one of these is very dependent upon your character. Authority is really going to help out with morale and satisfaction. Instinct is going to help out with melee damage and recruitment cost. Cunning, which is going to be a little bit more for any kind of character that is a spy that you have in mind. Ammunition and military supplies. Resolve is really good for generals' health, his actual health pool itself, and your population growth. Expertise is going to help out with construction costs and melee evasion, as we saw earlier. So, real quick crash course on that. For the military tab, you can see what his actual stat lines are. And then you can see what his current retinue is. So retinue that he has currently recruited, and any special units that he gets access to. You can, if you're in the proper season, you can plus recruit, but you can't do that here until the next turn. We'll get there, and I'll show you guys some of that action. And you can see at the very bottom, abilities. This are the special abilities that are unique to Gongsun Zan. Isn't it Gongsun Zan? You guys will correct me in comments, I'm sure of it. So we can scare things, disciplined, does not suffer a morale penalty when the general dies. Mighty knockback, and then his activate ability is usually gold bronze with that kind of red color in there as an active debuff, which reduces the morale of things. Roar of the beast, the fury of this victorious warrior is fearful to behold. He's sick, right? Friend relationship effect. So because his general, or his bro here, Zhao Yun, is in the army with him, and they are friends, which you can see from this relations tab. There we go, they're friends. It gives them a passive buff, both of them. They get an increase to range block chance and melee evasion. In addition to that, they also get fallen friends. So if one of them were to die, these things would happen to them in a kind of a phase. So initially, they would get healed, then they would go berserk, then they would get more melee damage. So they obviously get a lot of benefits if their friend dies, but at the same time, you can't control them. They're berserk. They could just be running all over the place and put themselves in a very bad position. So you obviously don't want your friends to die. That's like a life lesson for you guys outside of just the game. So taking a look at these ancillaries here, you can see artisan we can pop into here. It gives them increased expertise and income from industry. Now, I'm not going to put that on Gongsun. I'm going to put that on Zhao Yun because it's going to help him out with his expertise. It's going to help out there. And our accessories here, so this helps out with cunning, satisfaction. You don't have to worry about satisfaction on your general. On your faction leader. That's important. So don't waste anything that gives satisfaction if you don't absolutely need the other effects on your what's that guy's name? Your faction general. So I say this like the game's out and you guys are going to go do this. I'm just talking in general terms here. So let's see. I would do this for expertise and retinue upkeep and satisfaction. And for our general, we'll do this. Oops, sorry. This. Yeah, whatever. Authority does help for him because it helps out the satisfaction faction wide. So authority individually on a non-faction leader helps out if the character is the prime minister, heir, or faction leader. Otherwise, it's just a blanket satisfaction increase to the individual character. So that's why I chose authority for this character, since he is the faction leader. Going a little fast there. Apologize, that's a little convoluted here. We can see our characters at court. Oops. Button I'm pressing. There we go. Court. You can see our whole court system here, which has quite a few positions. And as your characters level up, and as you level up as a faction, you get access to more and more of these court placements, these titles. And granting your characters these abilities, these posts, will actually help them gain prestige. It'll increase their satisfaction. It'll help you out because you'll now have administrators that you can put into your commanderies. A whole bunch of awesome things. Your individual family tree here. The characters that you currently have like a relationship with, and what that looks like as a whole, their age, everything like that. You can see what their stat lines are. So it'll get you a really good idea of who you know in the cosmos and what your relationship is like to them. Faction summary, again, as you progress up this, you'll unlock more and more titles, more and more posts, more armies, different assignments. stuff like that. So you progress all the way up to Emperor, and once you get to Emperor, you vie for the Emperor position. It's going to be you and 2 other individuals. And basically everyone at that point will either choose to ally with you or one of the other emperors, emperor-elects more or less. And you guys will have a grand battle between the 3 of you trying to unite China. That's kind of the ultimate goal of the Three Kingdoms campaign. We can see right now we are a noble. We just have to increase our prestige to become second Marquis to Duke to King. So let's go ahead and do this real quick. I'm actually going to delegate that fight so it quickly kind of goes through it. Holy shit. Well, I guess he lost. Oh my god. Then you can choose, of course, the typical kind of things with any Total War game. Ransom, seize supplies. Military supplies are quite strong. But I'm actually going to go with recruit because we did lose quite a few units here. 27 out of 30, 23 out of 30, 82 out of 120, 30 out of 30. Well, those are cavalry units, I wonder so low. I'm like, wow, this is crap-ass infantry. So yeah, we'll go with recruit to get some incredible punishment increase. That was your first mission. Gives you some nice military supplies, some morale. And there you go. You're all done there with Gongsun Zan's first mission and turn, for that matter. And you kind of get... The nice thing here with the campaign map, as I kind of scroll out, you can see all these other settlements and then the commanderies that they're all attached to. So we can see that, sorry guys, Yubei Ping is close to its other settlement. And there's only 2 settlements in this commandery. So you can get full control of your commandery very quickly with Gongsun Zan, which is very cool. As opposed to, like, so you can scroll out and you can see that this is an iron mine, this is a trade port, this is a fishing port. These are horse pastures. So you get a really cool idea, a really good idea, just from zooming out a little bit on the campaign map and getting a chance to really kind of plan out how do you want to progress in the campaign. And I really like that about the campaign map. It's a lot cleaner, a lot easier to kind of function around. And you get a lot of information with very little clutter, which is, I think, pretty huge. So let's go ahead and end this turn real quick. I know we can progress over into the iron mine, but I just want to show you guys how recruitment works before we push on to Yuan Shao and take a look at his campaign and his unique mechanics as this end turn time goes. For as huge of a map as this is, let's take a look here. The end turn times are nothing like that of Mortal Empires in Total War Warhammer. But it's cool too because the map is like 3D. You can tell by just looking at this, you can see that this portion is kind of not topographic, but you can see the camera kind of pivots up and down across the mountain ranges and everything as you get in. It's got a lot of really awesome, rich detail, and I really, really enjoy that. Korea. Possible next DLC? Who knows? It's already on the map. So, we can click this button, recruit, and we can click this button here, and we can then take a look at all the available units for Gongsun Zan. Now, we can show unavailable. These are units that you either need to choose through a reformation tree. These are that's these right there, or a building, or things of the sort. Or the rank bar, like this one says, or this will be, I think, these guys are the Protectors of Heaven and the Palace Guard, or the Defenders of Earth. These two, I believe, are locked by your actual rank in your faction summary. So I know the Emperor will unlock the ability to use Palace Guard elite units, and I believe that's those 2 units. But okay, going back to recruit here real quick, you can see what units we have access to. And see, so militia in general will have a very moderate cost, lowish upkeep, terrible kind of stats. And you can see that there is a G militia here. When we bring up the reformation tree, oh, we can't look at... Oh, yeah, okay, there we go. We can. So, you can see here that... Let me find the unit. Spear Warriors will replace our G Militia in the sense that they're just a direct upgrade of them. They won't absolutely replace them on their actual unit card or upgrade them as a whole. So, as you kind of look across this, your reformations, you can choose units that will replace existing units. And, of course, these are all the green line And we're taking a look at red line probably primarily if you want to get specific units here, like this one gives you peasant raiders, which I believe will progress somewhere around the line here. And you get Jade Dragons down the line. There's all sorts of ways you can progress units. It looks like it's a very flat unit recruitment pool. You're like, nah, there's not a lot of units you have access to. No, those units can actually progress using these reformations. And it's not just simply the military line. The military line, obviously, you have to kind of think of this in terms of your character specialization. So the red line will be a vanguard. So that means it's where you're going to find all of your cavalry. Whereas you take a look at this line, you're going to find all of your spear infantry of the sort. I believe over here we'll be finding the archers somewhere along the line. If I can find it somewhere. I don't know where I'm clicking aimlessly. It's somewhere there. Haha, I knew I was not full of shit. See, like, archers will be in this line. So it just depends. Like, purple line will have different ones as well. And they all, again, will be very, very in coordinate with the type of infantry or the type of unit that is that color's specification, I guess you could say. Again, red, vanguard, cavalry, shock cav. So be mindful. This is all, it seems weird to play so heavily into colors, but that is how this game is supposed to be played. It's supposed to play very heavily into that, and they've kind of pushed that a lot in the very initial portions of the kind of let's plays or the initial discussions during some of the events or coverage of E3, is this kind of mechanic very heavily dependent upon the colors and the system that plays into that, and how it's all very elemental based. So again, be mindful of it. One quick thing I do want to talk about, we were looking at faction summary, the unique features, you know how we get these cool elite horse archers, but there's the military government. This is a unique building chain. Taking a look over here, you can see this denotes unique building chain. And what this does is here, it allows us to really get a nice, good military government. And then when I say that, I just mean that you don't have to choose between a financial or a military commandery. You can kind of split the difference here in more ways than one. Like, I'm paraphrasing at a very high level, and that is not 100% true. But what I'm trying to say is, with the military government, you can really get the best out of, or not the best, but you can get a really good balance of both economy and military from this style of government. It's a very different way of doing things versus focusing exclusively on Confucian temples and then schools and inns. Like, you want to basically build your commanderies based around what their settlements around them kind of add to them. Like, a trade port would add a lot of blue buildings. So adding military government chain, if we want to do that, and a blue building is going to actually help us out in the long run. So you can see how this kind of works. Income from all sources, a reduction in corruption, increase in public order. You get a lot of really great benefits. And usually everything will branch out to either a higher public order or like a higher income. Like, it just depends on what the tree is. Like, look at military infrastructure. You look at this is public order, military supplies, reserve capacity. Well, this is public order, military supplies, and military supplies increase from this army and adjacent commanderies. So it's like you're increasing the amount of supplies you have as a whole to everything attached to this commandery. And then this one is mainly focusing on reducing stuff from the local enemy armies, increasing your military supplies and your starting rank for cavalry recruits. So it just depends on how you want to build all of your commanderies out. Like, okay, this is just going to be very straightforward. I'm going to increase my public order. Okay, I'm going to make sure I have a very fast-moving army because I'm constantly supplied with military supplies. Okay, this one's going to ensure that I get a very nice amount of shock cav in my army because I can increase their recruitment ranks, and at the same time, I can reduce my military's or my enemy's military supplies while increasing my own. So it just depends, again, how you want to do things. Some things require stuff like, if you take a look at the White Horse Fellows raiding parties, requires horse pastures. So again, there's a lot of really different ways you can build out your commanderies, and I like that because it's different than when you take a look at Total War Warhammer. You kind of follow the same blueprint, more or less, of growth building, income building, unique building. Swap out your growth building for another building, that like a public order building or something like that. This kind of, everything has the ability to give you public order, income, and military supplies. It just depends what degree you want it and what you need for the commandery. And I think that's a real cool way of playing. It's a lot different. It adds a lot more character, and it makes it less stale, in my opinion. So that kind of sums things up here for Gongsun Zan. You can see that where he starts, way to the northeast, Song Empire hasn't been created yet, and he's I would say it seems like he's a little bit easier of a campaign because he is relegated to only Han around him. Of course, you know, you do have these guys. I don't know what their faction is. Liao Yu, and he is to the west, but it's your only real first natural enemy. The rest is Han Empire, which, if you're comparing it to other games, it might as well be just the random rebels of a given area. Like when you play Total War Rome, just the random kind of rebel factions is basically the same. The best way I can describe the Han Empire, because you can just attack them pretty willy-nilly and not have to worry too much about it. So you kind of have a nice solidified start here. You're not going to have any invaders from over here, of course. And once you take over your entire commandery, your whole eastern flank is pretty well secured. So I think that this is a really good kind of solid first start for anyone just jumping into the game, because he has a lot of balanced mechanics, nothing too crazy, nothing too wild. Let's jump over to another lord, get some different opinions on things. Again, the next lord is not going to be as in-depth. I just wanted to show you guys some game mechanics and go through some stuff. Focus on and drill down on some individual things. And if there's something that you think of that you want to see during the stream, let me know and I'll cover it in the stream. I mean, I didn't go through stuff like, where is it? I didn't go into diplomacy. I didn't go into all the reforms really in depth because, you know, I want you guys to also explore this for yourself. That's why I'm not playing through 50 turns of this campaign right now. I want you guys to really be able to have fun with this when it comes out. So let's jump over to another lord and have some fun. All right, and here we are at the campaign for Yuan Shao. Now, to talk a lot about some of these mechanics here with him is that he has a new, I guess you could say, currency, and this is different from Gongsun Zan. He's got lineage. Now, lineage allows you to recruit new characters. It's got a specific occupation option when you go to attack or take a territory, and it also helps with forging alliances. You can use it to build faction support for you in a bid for emperor. In addition to that, you can use it to help with your captain's retinues. Now, he does have some unique options, some unique characters he has access to. Warriors of Yi, as well as the Defenders of Hebei. I know I butchered that. I'm so sorry. But he has his unique governmental building line, which is the Yuan Administration Office. This gives him income from all sources, public order, and lineage. Remember, guys, lineage is what increases our kind of vie towards emperorship. As your lineage increases, as you can see, you become second marquis, then duke, then king. Keep in mind, though, every time you progress up one of these ranks, you get certain things that are absolutely necessary. So, for instance, when you're a noble, you have 3 armies. As you progress to marquis, still 3, but then you get an additional army when you become one marquis, the marquis top. You get your 4th army that's provided. And you can see here you don't have any spies as a noble, but you do as a second marquis. So progressing up this is very important. It's what allows you to get trade agreements and other things that you would normally get strictly through reformations or building lines. And this unlocks a lot of playability for you and your campaign. So we'll take a look at how lineage works, because he also gets this special secure option. We'll take a look at that in just a second. I defeated our first enemy here just to kind of get us a clear shot into Yi here. But taking a look at our unique building line, Yuan Administration Office. So unlike Gongsun Zan, this is not a 3-pronged kind of branched chain. It's just one straight shot, which is kind of a little bit nicer, a little bit easier for you. You don't have to kind of determine what this is going to be. But at the very top, you can see it gives you a nice bonus to your prestige, a nice increase to your lineage on a per turn basis, and a increase to your public order, your income from all sources. So it's got a really nice amount of perks here. So very awesome ability, very awesome unique chain for Yuan Shao. So taking a look here at the other way we can use lineage. 2 ways we're going to go through this here. So we'll delegate this. And we've won. So we have occupy, loot and occupy, sack and withdraw. That's your default 3 whenever you're doing a sacking or attacking or ransacking. Now, secure and occupy is unique to Yuan Shao. We can see that it's going to cost him 50 in lineage, but it's going to give a substantial more faction support than if we had just occupied. In addition, we're going to get way more military supplies. We'll get way more replenishment for the garrison and replenishment for our own units. So secure and occupy is very, very preferred unless you outright don't want to keep something. Of course, in that case, just like sack and withdraw or loot and occupy. With these other ones, occupy, loot and occupy, and sack and withdraw, you can see that there is a population deficit that they afflicted by this. So you will lose population by choosing any one of these options, but not secure and occupy, which keeps the population intact, thus garnering you even more faction support. So we press secure and occupy. Yay! Yay! Yay again! So the way that this works is, this little flag here denotes your faction support. And we know that next turn, it's going to jump up to 70. So 2 turns left until full faction support. As your faction support wanes, you always want this at 100. And it doesn't drop below 100 if you have low public order. The only time you have to deal with faction support is when you freshly take over a territory, or a settlement for this, in this case. So as your faction support increases, the populace falls in line with your faction and, well, supports it. It's kind of in the name, guys. So that's why faction support is important, because it can allow you to be mobile a lot faster. If you have a lot of faction support to begin with after taking a settlement, you don't have to worry about staying there as long, making sure there's not any kind of upheaval. You can move on quickly, because right now you can see that this is a -6 public order because of the current faction support being at 30. Clearly that's not going to be a case here because our public order isn't low enough to cause a revolt, but in more sensitive situations that could be the case. Now the last thing I want to go over with lineage is, we're gonna have to probably wait a turn here. Let's wait a quick turn. But lineage, the way you recruit characters is that you buy them. You use your copper, like the little yen symbol here, and that copper is used for pretty much everything in the game. You know, building everything, upkeep, recruitment costs, as to be expected. Right? There's your currency. It's right there. So when I go to, I think we should have people to recruit now. Might have to wait one more turn. Okay, so we can see Sun Qian is recruitable, and he will cost me 10 lineage to recruit him. I can go back here. I can see, my lineage right now is at 28, so it's going to cost me 10 of my 28, and I recruit him. So it allows for my infrastructure to stay intact a little bit more. I don't have to waste as much on that ability. Or I'm sorry, on the ability to bring it to recruit more individuals. I can just use it quite easily. In addition, you can use your lineage to recruit captains. These are just kind of generic people, not your characters that you would otherwise recruit from your recruitment pool, from your court. These are your family and generals that are just kind of usually, if they don't have this symbol, they're not a general. They're just kind of sitting in your court waiting for either assignment or administration or a post, anything like that. Candidates are people that you're waiting to put into your own court. So if I click recruit, this button, I can click captains, which is unique to Yuan Shao. So this allows me to access all these captains, their individual retinues that come pre-built into this. So this is the cost of recruiting them and the upkeep that's going to cost me per turn. So if I need an army on the fly very quickly, Yuan Shao has the capability to do that as long as captain retinues are available. Using a captain retinue is a great way to get access to a pretty decent sized beefy army right out the gate. So that's kind of what makes Yuan Shao kind of stand out as far as his special lineage characteristic, how it kind of works as a whole, and his playstyle. We can see from the campaign map, he starts very close to Gongsun Zan, and well, on the first turn you have those little blips that tell you his kind of relationship to everything. We can see kind of who is around. He has a little bit more of a challenging situation, or start at least. He does have a nice diplomatic relation to begin with Cao Cao. You can do some stuff to kind of start off with him. He starts off again with Han Fu around him, and Han Fu is a good bro already. You can get him on your side quickly. You do have to make somewhat good friends before you can open up trade partners with things. You can see we're at 0 of 1, so we can only have 1 trade partner. This isn't like previous Total War games where you can really kind of spam trade partnership to take advantage of the gross amount of income you can get from it. So do be mindful of that when you finally get to the game. When we all finally get to the game. But that, for the most part, kind of sums up Yuan Shao. Nothing crazy about him as far as his mechanics go, but the lineage one does differentiate him from not just simply Gongsun Zan, but some of the other characters. We've seen how other characters work with Sun Jian or with Liu Bei, and how some of their character mechanics or their character currency, quote unquote, is a bit different. So this is how Yuan Shao kind of differentiates himself from those two. Let's jump into our last lord, or should I say lady, and discuss some of her unique mechanics, because she is a bit different than the other two. All right, so our last warlord is Zheng Jiang, the legendary outlaw. Now, this one's going to be a bit different. She has a bit different of a play style, and it's all because of her unique currency, yet again, called Infamy. This is the guy right there. Now, of course, we see that it increases prestige, experience, satisfaction, and morale. It decreases over time. It has the same kind of decay mechanic that Lineage has for Yuan Shao. We didn't showcase that very well in our previous little portion, but Yuan Shao's got 3 portions of his lineage, from tarnished to respectable to, I think the last one was like noble or something like that. And in the highest one, his lineage decrease is very, very high. His decay is very high. It's going to be the same thing here with Zheng Jiang. So she also gets 2 kind of unique units here: the Hidden Axes Assault Infantry unit and the Fists of the Bandit Queen, which again are a higher version of this one. So you can see available for characters rank 3 or higher, available for characters rank 6 or higher. It gets 2 additional unique buildings: the Bandit Lair, which helps with replenishment, not so much with income, and the Tribute Hall, which again helps with income from tributaries. Now, what makes her unique is, and I'll show you guys in a second, she obviously does not start off with any means of building a city. You have to be very aggressive from the start. You can see we start here. Yuan Shao was over there. Gongsun Zan was over there. So just kind of get a bit of a frame of reference here. So first mission, do this, delegate this task. Just, again, just completely fucking KOs these people. This will give us some infamy to win, and we'll go ahead and ransom them, because why not? That sounds fun. And then this will give us a mission. Let's see where it wants us to go. Glorious victory. All right, Yuan. We'll go here, and this is how infamy works, and this is important. And delegate one more time.
All shall hear of this.
Oh, well, damn, we gained infamy. It didn't show. I clicked away too quickly. So, you get more infamy depending on the situation at hand. So obviously 3 infamy is gained from looting this one, and then 6 infamy is gained from sacking and withdrawing. You obviously get way more income and way more military supplies. So you really need to kind of use this in the way that makes the most sense for what your given situation is. You can occupy right now, but let's just go loot and occupy, get that infamy up. Give us a massive bonus to our income. You know, it's just, we're an outlaw. We got to beat it. We got to do it.
From the recent siege, and will need to be repaired.
No. So let's take a look. Okay, ooh, repair that. Look at that cool graphic for that. Ooh, it's actually on fire. So you can see that we've got 2 unique building chains. One here in the agricultural buildings with bandits. This is going to, let's take a look. There we go. So minus 5% income reduction by banditry, which is kind of nice there. I'm sorry, that's not nice there. That's what I meant to say. And as this increases, we can see all the way at the top is that massive reduction to income because of banditry, but a massive increase to replenishment faction-wide, and military building construction cost reduction is 15%. So as you see the bandit stronghold, it will bring you up to quite a bit of banditry reduction. There we go. Bandits roam this commandery, reducing your income. Now, Tribute Hall, and I honestly, I cannot... I haven't really been able to find out quite yet what banditry does. As hopefully as we start the stream tomorrow, I'll be able to know. Tribute Hall, this is kind of plays off of that banditry here. As we get to the very top, tribute in diplomacy. Tributary states will pay as per a per turn sum tribute to their master, or else risk war. You can basically ransom armed aggression towards other factions because of this tribute kind of mechanic that is built into the way the Outlaw kind of plays. So a fun, different kind of play style than not just simply the other 2 we looked at, but all of the coalition generals and all of the governor generals. The 2 outlaws both have very unique characteristics that play heavily into, well, being an outlaw, kind of rogue outcast that has a mechanic that is very different from the way that it normally would be otherwise. So you can see Infamy, we start off with inferior, no increase to prestige, a minor decay for a turn, diplomatic relations with all factions, and -5 satisfaction. Now, as we increase this all the way to here, we can see when we're Infamy Legendary, we get a massive increase to our prestige, a pretty substantial Infamy decay, so you have to be constantly on the move, doing quite a bit of harassment, outlawish things. A bandit of sorts, a highwaywoman. Now, a 30 diplomatic relation with all faction reduction, but a 10 satisfaction increase, and enables unbreakable faction-wide. So, you know, you have these bandits that are fighting for this legendary outlaw queen, the bandit queen, Zheng Jiang. And as a result, they're unbreakable. They know they're fighting with a legendary bandit, and they're not going to just completely break. Also, you get tribute. At a massive increase, 150% tribute in diplomacy. But every single one of these has got some sort of increase. So this gives you morale straight up to unbreakable at dreaded, which is kind of cool. There was one thing else I wanted to take a look at that, and I can't remember what it was now as I look at this. Oh, high infamy increases prestige, income from tributaries, and character satisfaction, but it will also worsen relations with other factions. Victories and settlement occupation options generate infamy. So as we go to this, I don't think we have enough to do anything with it. Yeah, we can request tribute here. Demand a percentage of this faction's regular income in exchange for peace. We receive 35% of their regular tax income from their commanderies plus trade, up to 8,000. So clearly we don't have the means to make this work. Otherwise we'd have a make this work button. But you can see that this would obviously give us quite a bit of tribute. And as you increase in strength, that becomes more and more of an option as you kind of grow with Zheng Jiang. Taking a look too at this character. You can, almost all of the legendary characters will start with their renowned weapons and items from the Three Kingdoms era. Like we took a look on one of our earlier playthroughs with Lu Bu, or I think someone asked someone, but Lu Bu does start with the red hair. It does have his kind of renowned mount. So that's kind of a really kind of cool mechanic that they've built into this game, is trying to make these weapons, these armors, these mounts, these ancillaries, these followers, everything very true to the theme of the Romance of the Three Kingdoms. And it's a really kind of cool mechanic that I really enjoy. One thing I did not cover real quick is traits. And traits will kind of help you determine how your relations with your other characters work. So we're clever, we're greedy, and we're determined to this character. And you can see that it admires zeal, respects decisiveness, indulges greed, and admires intelligence, but loathes superstition and disregards charity. But when you look at other characters, if they don't kind of play in line with that, then disregards trustworthiness, deceitful, accepts carelessness, wary of intelligence, respects decisiveness. So those traits will determine whether or not another character can kind of form a good bond, a friendship, or a brotherhood eventually. And you can see that this is a result. Opinion, relevant influences will cemetery campaign together. I found our mutual differences to be aggravating. I rue the day that I allowed this imbecile into my service. So you can see that Kong Chan, God, I hope I got that right, and has a very negative opinion of Zheng Jiang. And it's because, well, she's clever, she's intelligent, you know, admires intelligence, loathes superstition. And we look at, oh no, wrong character. Kong Jian, he is wary of intelligence. So these things are what create the dynamic between these characters, and it is so important to the overarching Guangxi that is prevalent in this game. So you have to be very mindful of what characters you put with your action leaders, with your individuals. So it makes for a really fun, kind of intriguing way to play the game, rather than simply just not, okay, how do I min-max my retinues? How do I just put someone in here that, okay, a sentinel, a vanguard, and a commander are the best three to put together, and that's what I'm going to do, and that's how I'm going to win my campaign. I like that Guangxi kind of really makes you think about how you want your retinues to work, because if they don't like each other, they're not going to get along. Their satisfaction is going to drop. You're going to spend more resources on this character to increase maybe his rank, or give him posts to increase his satisfaction because he's already pissed off at Zheng Jiang. So I really kind of like how that plays out. So let's take a look here. Anything I wanted to go over with her real quick before I kind of close this out? Oh, you can see her unique ability here, Binding Fury. It's a nice splash damage attack. The strength of the force brought to bear against a single foe. Splashing everything around her. Immune to fatigue, which is really cool. Attrition immunity as well. But we can see that these two padlocks, you do not have a high enough rank to access this unit. Rank 6 required. You do not have enough rank 6 required. But, what the fuck? Oh, there they are. The hidden axes, because we're rank 3, we can get access to them. And then the Axe of the Hidden Forest. Fist of the Bandit Queen, that's what it is. You get access when you climb up to rank 6. Obviously, our rank is denoted by the number there. 1, 3. If this icon is like that, it's typically a legendary character or a different character. You can see this guy's just a guy, just a dude, just me, just here, hanging out. Yeah, none of these characters are cool, like Zheng Jiang. But that kind of closes our little crash course here on the 3 warlords that we're covering in our kind of early embargo lift, our early access. Now, early access does end on Sunday for us. I was going to put 1 video a day out, but I figured, you know what? A long form video, let you guys kind of delve in on this really quickly, get you guys an idea of what all these characters kind of look like, what their mechanics are like. And again, I didn't want to jump through 50 turns of a campaign that you guys aren't playing yourselves. I don't want to ruin that for you. So we will stream tomorrow, and I will play through one of our characters for about 3 hours, and then we'll kind of end things. So if you are really curious to see how a campaign progresses in this game, we will get that on its legs tomorrow here. But as always, guys, thanks so much for watching. If you have any questions at all about Three Kingdoms that is not attached to these videos that I did not answer, please go ahead and ask in the comment section. I'll get to them as fast as I can, and I'll answer them away. If any of them are spoilers for Avengers Endgame, joke's on you, because I'm going to see it at 6 p.m. And this is recorded clearly on a Thursday, so I'm going to be good. Don't even worry about that shit. So you can spoil away, but don't spoil, because that's bullshit. But anyway, guys, thanks so much for watching here today. Again, any questions at all, please ask below and I'll get them answered for you. But have a good one and take care.